Does Auburn basketball have the best home court advantage this season? National college basketball pundit Andy Katz has some opinions, and he might be wrong. I'm going to give you 5 reasons why I think he should rank them higher here on this edition of Good Morning Auburn, and thank you for joining us. Welcome back to another edition of E2C Network Live, where we get together, we sit down, and we talk about what's going on in the world of the Auburn family spectrum. Always heavy on the sports here on this channel, but if it's orange and blue, it is what we do. Thank you so much for joining us, whether you're watching live, whether you're watching on the replay. We appreciate you being here, hanging out with us, spend some time talking about something related to Auburn. As I opened up with, this stream is another edition of Good Morning Auburn, our short form live stream series where we tackle a topic that might be interesting to you currently at the time that we're actually doing this live stream. Now, listen, we've been talking a lot about recruiting, about the transfer portal, and we're not done talking about it. But I felt like today would be a good palate cleanser opportunity where we could actually discuss something else we also love, but also just an interesting topic that I thought was brought up yesterday by one of the more famous college basketball pundits out there, that being Andy Katz. If you don't know who he is, you can go look him up. And what I'm going to suggest to you in this live stream is that you go and check out his video. We're going to actually take some screen grabs from the video he made explaining who he feels like has the best home court advantage this season in college basketball. And Auburn is on that list, but very far down on that list. So we're just going to have a discussion. Like I said, 5 points along our discussion that I want to give you that I think will help inform that Auburn should be a little bit higher on that list. I'm not saying all the way up there, but it's got to be a little higher than he has us. So I think, listen, us as Auburn fans, we're going to think that we have the best home court advantage, but it's not just us that thinks this. Think that we have one of the better ones. Every time we are on the TV, that's all they talk about is how intense this place is to win in as an opponent, as an away opponent. And I think every time, you see in a game there, you can see how much it affects the other team. We've seen that this season. We've seen that seasons past. We got a lot of good things going on there. All right, so let's open up first off by talking about the list that Andy Katz put out there. And I'd love to hear some of your thoughts and opinions as you come in. You can post those while you check in and smashing that like button. So here is the list. And again, this comes courtesy of Andy Katz and Fox College Hoops, or Fox Sports, I guess is generally who you want to talk about there. He has a tier system of college basketball people. And as you can see, and I know I said Auburn's on this thing. They're not on this one. And this is my point. This is why we're having this discussion. So when I saw Andy Katz put this out, I was like, okay, I'm going to look and see, because we all know that Auburn basketball is a tough place to play on their home court, Neville Arena. And I expected not to be at the top, maybe not even be at the tier 2, but I sure expected to be like, on the front page of this. We'll get to the second page, which is really just one thing in just a second. But that's it. So you look at this list right here. He ranks them in terms of asking the question, who has the best home court advantage this season on tier systems. So tier number 1, Kansas, Arizona, Duke, Purdue, and Rutgers. I wasn't aware that Rutgers had a great home court advantage, but I could be wrong, right? So I'm not going to argue with the fact that Auburn needs to be in that tier. I wouldn't argue with some of the blue buds up there. Even Purdue's been a great college basketball program over the last couple of seasons. So there is that as well. Good to see you guys. I just saw you guys popping in the chat. Dusty, thanks for being here. Just like Jordan Hare, the jungle is at least top 3. There's a reason we have a 20. Y'all are getting ahead of the game here. There's some points I'm going to bring up for you guys. Second longest home streak in the nation, and does Gonzaga even count with a sketch? Did you guys want to do the show? See, this is the nature of having live shows and people commenting on it, because they sometimes get ahead of the game on you. But I appreciate you guys being here. Tier 2, Kentucky, North Carolina, Indiana, Creighton, I guess, and Gonzaga. Ironically, I would probably have put, a Kentucky, a North Carolina up there, or even an Indiana up there a little bit higher than a Rutgers, but that's just me. Tier 3 for him, UConn, Providence, Michigan State, Iowa State, and actually my screen's a little dark, so I can't see that. Arkansas. Oh, Arkansas. All right, I cannot believe that one's up that high. Tier 4, you've got San Diego State, Xavier, New Mexico, Illinois, and Wisconsin. So, like I said, before we reveal the other page, listen, you skipped work today to watch Good Morning Auburn. That is what I love to hear. Thank you, sir. So I would have not argued with, the first one, the second one. But when I see names like Arkansas, who thinks they've got a good home court advantage compared to Auburn, when I see names like Providence, and they're a great basketball school and program, but it's nothing compared to Neville Arena. But then even what infuriates me more is when you see San Diego State, New Mexico, because Illinois is a power program. Wisconsin, it's got it up there. I don't agree with it, but at the same time, it's not the worst thing you could have said. So here's where Auburn lies in it on his back half. And now there is a typo in their graphic here. It should say tier 2 or tier 5 up there next to tier 5. It was a really weird graphic, but he says at the bottom and listen, he in the most correct way of addressing what he's saying here, he is putting Auburn in some of the hardest places to play in college basketball. Our question is Auburn the best, and should it be much higher on his list? So on that tier, he's got Tennessee, Virginia, Texas Tech, Auburn, Kansas State, and Marquette. I would argue basically everybody on tier 5 should have been higher. That's just me, though, and I don't frequent a lot of these other places, so I could be wrong. I'm open to being wrong, but that's where he puts Auburn at. So again, just a quick look at that tier system. Tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, 4, and 5. So now what I want to do is obviously hear from some of you guys about all this, but I want to give you 5 reasons now why Auburn should be considered higher than that, and maybe even the best. It's probably not the best, let's be honest. As much as we've risen in college basketball, they still got a way to go, but they should be a lot higher than that. Alabama John says no way Arkansas should be in that position. Now, so here's what I'll say. There's a lot of people on that list who, especially either currently or historically, have a lot of success, and so by that very nature, you would at least put them in the conversation, but they shouldn't be that high on the list, as you said. Auburn should. I would have been much more comfortable Auburn being up there with them or in swapping positions, especially because the question he asked was about this season. That's the thing that gets me here, and I think that's what's the trouble here, is to remember the question that Andy Katz, the National College Basketball Pundit, posed was not historically who's got the best this season. So I'm going to give you a couple of reasons why, and these reasons will be a lot based on some historical things and just some things that last outside of the season, but there's a big reason for the last couple of years and this year for why that. All right, number 5, Neville Arena, almost called it Auburn Arena, is a lot smaller. When I say that, most people think, oh, well, that's a disadvantage, right? No, not in college basketball. The intimate, in-your-face setting is really advantageous. Think of Duke's Cameron Indoor. Apparently that thing is old, rickety, and it's so tiny, but everybody is up on your business, in your space. Auburn, not Arena, Neville Arena does that very same thing. So that's reason number 5 why you should put them up higher. Just considering the spacing, the dynamics, the acoustics alone, that in and of itself creates the opportunity for this to be a much more difficult place for people to play on the road. Reason number 4, this has to do with current, but as something that's been going on for, many seasons now, especially since the national or the Final Four run. Ticket prices are out the wazoo. I can't even afford to go to some of them right now. Now, listen, it's not like they're exorbitant amounts of, national championship, Final Four type of numbers, but they are very high and very expensive. Fans are having to travel to be able to afford to go to games. So what does that mean? Why is that important in this discussion? The fans that are getting in there are so hyped to be there right now because it's a hard thing to afford for them, that they're going to give it their all when they're there. So in the question of who's got the best home court advantage this season, because it is smaller and those type of that setting allows for a better or worse experience for a visiting team. And because those prices are making sure that the fans that are there are thankful, are ready to just bring their all. That is part of that as well. Number 3, and this is not going to make sense to a lot of people who may be tuning in that aren't Auburn fans that see this. The meme peacock culture. I mean, you can see it right here in the picture with KD Johnson, the cutout of his head with the laser eyes. The meme peacock culture is really transformed the way that Auburn fans engage, not when they're there, but also when they're there too. Everybody's looking for that thing that they can make a sign about. Everybody's looking for that thing that they can make fun of the other team about. It is, for those of you that don't know, it became a big thing to post memes making fun of the other team after we would beat them in their post-game scores. And so that happens obviously outside of the here, but that as well has made this something that people want to be a part of. They want to experience that, be part of the meme, all that kind of stuff, experience the moments in Neville Arena. So another reason, that was reason number 3. Real quick question here. Beard Eves or Auburn Arena, who you got? Or Neville Arena. See, you did it to me. I listen, that's a bigger conversation for another day, but I'm a nostalgia freak, so I love Beard Eves, but you cannot argue with how nice and how advantageous, which is the point we're making right now, Neville Arena is. All right. Reason number 2, why Auburn basketball should be much higher on this list, not tier 5, much higher. The jungle, the student section. Let me just put it to you this way. And I remember someone describing, I think, I don't know if it was the architect or whatever, when they were describing why they made this thing the way they did. And so many things went into it. They went and saw Cameron Indoor for one of the things to kind of model some of the things after that. They wanted it to be just you and the students down there. Now, if you look at the lower bowl structure, there obviously is 2/3 of that is students. The other third, or I'll say quarter, I guess it's a third actually, is like the higher scholarship seats, which they get into it too, but not the way the students do. It is basically just you and the students down there up in your business for the entire time, the whole 40 minutes of regulation time that you're out there, and plus some considering the time that the clock has stopped. Just you and them. And if you notice, you can't go down there if you are a general public person and not a high scholarship person. You are either a student or them. It's just you and them down there. Good luck to the opposing fans. And the final reason, which you all jumped ahead of me right now, is should Auburn be considered the toughest, or at least higher on that list, home court advantages in this 2022-23 season? They have a 28, is it 28? I think it's 27, actually. 27 home game winning streak, and we will be fighting to continue that this weekend to 28. Now, this point may be moot at the end of this weekend. Mississippi State comes to town. We'll see what happens, right? But it is still a incredible feat. 27 games in a row. That in and of itself is incredible. That in and of itself is crazy. The number 1, because we're the second highest winning streak currently active at home, Gonzaga. Back to the question that was posed earlier. Dusty asked this. Does that even count for Gonzaga? I thought the exact same thing. Yes, it counts, but it should affect them in this rankings. Gonzaga, in my opinion, should not be number one. Yeah, you may be great at home. There's a reason you're great at home, because the majority of your schedule is cupcakes. And there's no disrespect to some great teams in their conference, like Pacific, I think's out there, St. Mary's, all great basketball programs. But you match them up with Arkansas, you match them up with Kentucky, you match them up with Alabama, you match them up with Tennessee and Mississippi State, whoever else is on the rise during a particular season or this season. Gonzaga doesn't have that long of a home court winning streak. So there's no way Auburn will match that ever, but it is still impressive. 27 games at home. All right. So in summary, real quick, and then we're going to take some more comments and questions here. Number 5, reasons why Auburn basketball is needing to be ranked higher, if not considered one of the best, very best home court advantages. It's smaller, gives it, some acoustic advantages, all that. Number 4, the ticket prices right now are causing the fans that are there to be more thankful, be more rabid, more into it. 3, the meme peacock culture that has evolved amongst the Auburn fandom has only enhanced their ferocity. Number 2, the jungle, the student section right on top of them. And number 1, the home court advantage of 27 games. Yes, Auburn has the best home court advantage, and my orange and blue glasses don't really have to affect me to see that. So with that being said, all right, I will take some comments and questions that come up. Let me go ahead and give you the towards the end of the show stuff to kind of get that out of the way right now. As always, here is your updated next live stream. Will be a post-game show for Mississippi State and Auburn to see if we can talk about a 28-game win streak right after the game tomorrow night. Don't miss that. It will be a late one. Hope to see you there. Check out the links in the description, but first make sure you subscribe so you can be part of that giveaway. There's channel memberships. There's Booster Club memberships. There's other things listed in the description that we hope that you'll consider taking part of, and we appreciate so many of you that do that. But you don't have to do that. The big thing is smashing the like button, being here, and dropping a comment. Make sure you come back to the live stream after it's done and leave a comment there. If you're watching on the replay, it doesn't matter. You can just leave a comment there right now and you're good to go. All right, get your comments and questions in here and we'll wrap our show up today. Alabama John, our student setup is almost identical to Cameron Indoor. The only difference would be that Cameron crazies hop up and down all the times when the opponent has possession. Yeah, and see, yeah, that's great. And I think that's why they're considered, at the top of the, again, I'll bring this list up one more time. Let me bring your comment down. Duke's right up there, and you can see some of the other names. But Auburn being in the tier 5 of this, that's just a no, my friend. That is just awful. So they do a lot of good things at Cameron Indoor. I'm not arguing that we even should be up there. I think we could make a case, but I don't think we can win that case. So higher, yes, but Cameron Indoor, they got some crazy things going on there. What would really give Auburn the upper hand at home would be to get a real live tiger in a cage and park it next to the opposing team's seats, keep them scared. So a la LSU. I'd be all for that as a actual person with a zoology degree from Auburn University. I would take the job of caring for it. That would be kind of fun and hilarious. I could be the guy that scares the team that comes in. So anyway, some funny comments there. All right. Thank y'all so much for tuning into another edition of Good Morning Auburn. Always appreciate those of you that can watch live, but especially those of you that are now watching on the replay. Always appreciate you spending your time with us, choosing to watch us here at E2C Network, where we share the whole Auburn experience. Until I talk to you guys again, War Eagle.